Alright, let's get started with MCDS. The first thing I want to go over is what exactly is MCDS. And basically MCDS is just a simple way to get video back to the building from the field with nothing more than a laptop and an internet connection. First things first, we want to get the video out of the Avid. This time, however, instead of going to disk, we are simply going to create a file. We're going to create a QuickTime movie. First thing you're going to do is you're going to select your cut package, VO again, T's, whatever the case may be, from the bin, and you're going to right click on it. When you right click on it, you'll see a drop down menu and you want to select Export. When you select Export, you get this box. Now all this box is asking us is, where do we want to save this video to? If you notice up here, you have Save In. To make things simple and to make it easier for you to find the video later, let's just simply store it on a desktop. Okay, now we've directed the computer to store this video on the desktop. The next thing we need to concern ourselves with, file name. It's extremely important that you write the correct slug here. What you're doing is you're naming your QuickTime movie, and it's the name that it's going to retain when it gets back to the building. To make it easier at 30 Rock for us to find the file, we want to use the correct slug here. Now, here's where it gets a little bit complicated, but only the first time you do this. Avid has created a bunch of presets for you. If you click this little triangle and you look through the list, there's a bunch of presets. Now the first time you do this, there isn't going to be an MCDS preset, and none of the pre-built settings that Avid's given you will work for this, so we've got to create our own. The first thing we're going to want to do to create this preset is simply select any preset. Doesn't matter which one it is, because we're going to modify it. Once you do that, hit Options. You get this box. Now let's look at this box carefully, and it may look a little bit different depending upon what preset you originally chose to modify. Starting from the top, Export As, we're going to click this and we're going to choose QuickTime Movie, not QuickTime Reference. They are two different things. We want QuickTime Movie. Okay, once you do that, continue over these two little dots. Make sure that none of them are enabled. No check marks on either. One step down, you're going to notice same as source or custom. We are going to select custom. When you select custom, you get format options. So we're going to click that and we get a new box. Now, this box is divided into two parts. The top part is your video portion. Your bottom part is your audio portion. Make sure that you have a check mark next to video and a check mark next to audio. Otherwise, one or the other will not export. Starting with video, hit Settings. You get this pop-up box. Now we're going to choose a compressor, what we're encoding this file as. Under compressor type, click the drop down. You want to choose H.264. Frame rate should be 29.97. The data rate you can leave alone. Compressor, you want to pick a setting somewhat between medium and high. It doesn't have to be exact. It's somewhere between medium and high works well. Under encoding, you've got two choices: best quality, multipass, or faster encode. You want to choose faster encode. Once you do that, you hit OK and you've modified your video settings. Let's move on to audio. Under sound, again select settings. This time under compressor, we will choose none. We do not want to compress the audio. Under rate, we want to choose this little triangle and choose 48.000. 16-bit stereo. You hit OK. You have now modified your video and your audio. Hit OK. If we continue to look down on this box, we want to make sure that video and audio are selected. Under width and height, we want to select a little hamburger, and we want to select 720 by 480 DV DVD. It is the third option up from the bottom. Crop and pad is fine. Color levels should be RGB. Field order, even, lower field first. And your display aspect ratio is going to be 16:9. Now you've basically modified all your settings and you want to save this as a preset. So what we want to do is we want to save as, not save, save as. Once we select save as, we have a pop-up that comes up and we basically want to type in MCDS. You hit OK. And now you can hit save. If you notice, at the bottom of this box, you now have an export preset called MCDS. That is how you build your preset. From now on, this preset will be there for you. Just recapping this box for you, export, you're exporting it to the desktop to make it easier for you to find this file. Under file name, we want to give it the correct slug. And now, since we've already created an MCDS preset, you can simply choose it from the drop-down menu. Select MCDS. Once you do that, you're good to go. Hit save. A little dialog pops up, and it is now encoding the file. This file is not going to the building just yet. It is simply being saved onto your desktop. You are creating nothing more than a QuickTime movie that we can then upload to the building. At this point, we can close our Avid because we're done exporting our file, which should now live on our desktop. What we want to do next is connect to the internet. Once you connect to the internet, what you want to do is point your web browser, in this case Internet Explorer, to http://mediatransfer.nbcuni.com, and you will get this page. At this page, what you simply want to do is you want to log in as an NBC employee, and you want to input your credentials. This would be your SSO number and your SSO password. They're the same credentials that you use to log into your benefits website. Once you log in, you'll be presented with this form, and all you really have to do is fill it out. On the upload subject section, simply put the slug of your story. In this particular case, we're going to call this Training Master. Under upload description, simply give us a short description of what it is that you're uploading. Now, internet connection, this is the speed at which you're connecting. If you're connecting over 3G or EVDO or your cellular modem, you probably want to stay at around T1 and probably around 1250. If you're on a faster connection, such as Wi-Fi, you can probably bump that up to about DS3 and I would say no more than 15 megabits per second. This section here, upload destination, this is where you want the file to end up. We want the file to end up on the East Coast because that's obviously where 30 Rock is. So we choose East Coast from the drop-down. Location, WNBC. There are many choices in this one, and you want to pick the right one. You want it to go to WNBC. You do not want it to go to 30 Rock. It ends up in a different place. The next box down is optional. We don't need to fill this out. If you specifically want one individual to be notified, you would put in their email address here, and an email would be sent out to that person. The next thing you want to do is hit your upload client, and simply this is what a Sparrow looks like. It just asks you again, where is the file that you want to upload? Now remember, I said to make life easier, just store the file on your desktop. Well, here it is. This first drop-down menu, it asks you where the file is. Simply tell it, file's on the desktop. So now that you've pointed to the desktop, you want to select the file that you want to upload. In this particular case, I'm simply going to upload Training Master. Now once you've done that and selected the file, all you do is hit OK. And what happens next, you get a progress window that tells us that the file is uploading. And that's pretty much it. Once the progress bar hits 100%, it says complete, and your file is well underway towards the building. The one thing that we do ask, though, is that although there is an email notification that's sent out to certain users, we do recommend that you do call the ingest room and just give them a heads up that the file is on its way, just as you would a normal live shot. That's it. Pretty simple.